Remember those astronauts that were stranded in space that we talked about a couple of months ago? Well, guess what? They're still in outer space. And you might remember, I was trying to tell you all that the situation was pretty bad, but NASA, with the help of the mainstream media, they were trying to downplay the situation because they did not want to admit their failures. But I looked into it, and not only is it not safe for these astronauts to return home on the Boeing Starliner, the reality is they should have never sent those astronauts up there to the space station in the Starliner to begin with. They knew damn good and well they were taking a gamble. They gambled with those astronauts' life, sending them off, blasting them into outer space in a faulty spacecraft that they knew was already having problems. It was not safe to get them there, and it's damn sure not safe to get them back. They tried to pretend like it was. They tried everything in the book to pretend as if everything was okay, but obviously it wasn't okay. Those astronauts were supposed to be at the space station for 8 days, ladies and gentlemen. They were supposed to go to the space station for 8 days and return home. Now it's been months. Now they're saying it may be up to 8 months to a year before they get to come back. Now this has all types of effects on their health. For one, mental health. These people might like going to the space station. They might like the work that they're doing. But I don't think they were mentally prepared to be up there for over a year. They weren't even supposed to be there for 2 weeks. Now, this affects your muscles, it affects your bones, it affects your eyesight, you name it. So this has a lot of different effects on their health. I mean, I imagine that this type of stuff takes a toll on you mentally, even when everything is going right. But for them right now, everything's kind of going wrong. And it looks like they're going to have to depend on Elon Musk to try to get these astronauts back home. So there's drama unfolding. NASA doesn't want to admit their failures. Boeing doesn't want to admit their failures. And in reality, they don't want to allow Elon Musk to come and save these two individuals. So there's a possibility that they'll risk their lives just to not admit defeat, which is kind of where we're at right now. Because the Starliner had many complications before takeoff. They had canceled several different trips of the Starliner when it was supposed to go to the International Space Station before. And it really just had no business blasting off into outer space. And they're extremely lucky that they survived. And actually made it to the space station. But it's just like I was telling you all weeks ago and now months ago. It's crazy how much time has passed because NASA, they were downplaying the situation every step of the way, claiming that the Starliner was safe and that they could return home whenever they needed to. But if that was true, why haven't they returned home by now? You know, and it's always tough making these videos because sometimes you have to go against what the mainstream media is saying, and you have to go against what, people like NASA are saying. And, a lot of times people will look at you sideways like, why should we believe this random guy on YouTube over NASA, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and you name it? But, you see, I don't have an agenda. There's no agenda behind my videos. NASA, Boeing, the mainstream media, they have agendas. There's reasons why they will lie to you. And they've been lying to you about how bad off this situation was because Boeing, a lot is going on with Boeing aircraft. NASA has a lot of failures. And the whole space industry is kind of upset with Elon Musk kind of coming in and doing better than what NASA has done over the years. But a former astronaut has spoken out about this situation. I want you all to listen to what he has to say, and then I'll be right back with more.
Question remains, is the Starliner capable of safely returning the two astronauts or even safely itself, despite Boeing's insistence that it is? Former NASA astronaut Jose Hernandez is joining us now. You know a little something about this. What do you think? Is it safe even to return on its own? What are the challenges and risks?
Yes, I think they've done some hot fire tests of the jets, and they've gotten a lot of data. They've digested this data, and I could just imagine myself sitting at that meeting, that safety meeting where they're discussing. You basically got two camps. One camp is saying the Starliner is good to go, safe, even with the crew. And the other ones is what I call the hand wranglers. They wrangle the hands and they're very conservative and say the sky is falling, so they should not go on it. And so the Starliner is equipped to land or enter back into Earth autonomous, so that they don't need astronauts to land it. And then add insult to injury, the astronauts will come home on a competitor's vehicle, SpaceX, which would add insult to injury.
You know, you plan on 8 days in space. Maybe if you're lucky, you get to spend a couple weeks there. I mean, it starts to go into months. And then, as I mentioned, they could be up there a year. There are concerns about, one, their preparedness for that, and two, the physical concerns about their health. I mean, it takes a big toll on your body to be in space. What are some of the issues at hand here?
Well, I think from the physical point, we got a good understanding. We've had astronauts up there for over a year. They just have to up their game in terms of exercising about an hour and a half each day to keep their muscles toned and not suffer from muscular atrophy. But I'll tell you, when you're up there and you plan on being up there only 8 days, if they tell you you're going to be extended 4 or 5 weeks, even 8 weeks, I would be ecstatic. When they tell me it may be 8 months, it starts to get a little bit on the annoying side, because I'm sure these astronauts have plans with their families, and you could just imagine their families thinking they were only going to be gone 8 days. Now it's going to be maybe 8 months. So it's a little annoying, but these guys are professionals. I know both of them. I know Butch and Sonny, and they're professionals, and they'll be able to do the job. I have no doubt with respect to their mental strength to be able to go the 8 months on the station.
Yeah, through the duration. One of the issues that's being brought up is that if the SpaceX rocket is used, as you mentioned, a potential option, the astronaut suits don't fit that rocket and they would have to return unsuited. Does that matter?
Well, see, that's another risk. It does matter, because the reason why you wear the suits is you have a helmet and they're pressurized from the inside, so that if you get a cabin depressurization, you're not going to faint because of lack of oxygen. Whereas if you're not wearing the suit and you don't have a mask, then you can faint and pass out and even asphyxiate and die. So it is dangerous. So you're adding other risks. Now you got to balance the risks of which one is less riskier. And man, that's a field day for the safety panel that's discussing all this.
Yeah, and when you talk about the risks, what are some of the side effects of spending this much time in space? Certainly in your return trip, but once you get back on Earth, how long to acclimate back to 2 feet on solid ground?
Well, it all depends how if you've been religious about doing your exercises 90 minutes a day, then usually you need some physical therapy, but the recovery is pretty quickly. There's other people that perhaps cheat on the exercise, and you kind of find out because then they come recumbent, they can't walk, and they're brought out on stretchers. But everybody's different. It doesn't mean that if someone went on a stretcher, it doesn't mean that they didn't exercise. It's just everybody's different with respect to the atrophy effects of your muscles for being out there that long. You also have a bone density loss that you regain. The pressure in your eyes also is an issue. So there's a lot of things, and of course radiation, but all those are well-known, well-studied, and I think can be mitigated.
Now, I cannot talk about this story without reminding you all that there's some weird stuff going on up on the International Space Station. You see, one of the things that these two astronauts were going to do, they were going to do experiments. They were going to go do tests on this new super bug that they discovered on the International Space Station. Apparently, there's some type of super bug And I don't mean an actual like insect, but like an illness of some sorts. There's a superbug that's immune to all medications that we know of on Earth, and it's living aboard the International Space Station. And some people, have been speculating that the reality is that maybe there's not something necessarily going wrong with the Starliner, that there's something wrong going on with this superbug, and they don't want us to admit it. Maybe one of these people have gotten sick, fallen ill. Who knows? Now, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I do believe that the Starliner has failed, but I also think it's shady that they're doing these type of tests on the International Space Station. You would think that this is all about space, right? You're looking at asteroids. You're looking at the effects that being in outer space has on the human body. You wouldn't think that they're up there conducting tests on harmful diseases and stuff like that, but they are, folks. They are. They've admitted it. You can go look it up if this sounds crazy to you, because I know it is. It is crazy, but it's actually happening. But also, there was a leak not that long ago, we covered it on this channel, coming from the International Space Station, where supposedly there was this emergency going on. And it sounded really legit. But NASA came out and said, oh, this was just a training exercise that was happening aboard the International Space Station. But if you listen to the audio, you can go back on my channel, find the video. It sounds like there was some type of medical emergency going on up there in the middle of outer space. And they were like telling people, oh, you got to get him in his suit and all. It was crazy, okay? It was crazy. So a lot of people believe that there may be something else, something weird going on up there. And maybe that's what has caused the delay. I don't know. Either way it goes, though, they haven't told us the truth. And now it's looking like these people may be up there for 8 months, a year, God knows how long. And we still have to bank on Elon and Musk, basically rescuing these people, for lack of better words. And we have to wonder if the Starliner is going to be able to detach from the International Space Station, and float away on its own, because that's one of the docking ports for spaceships. So it's a lot of complicated, weird stuff, all right? And it's only going to get weirder, I'm sure. But for now, I want you all to get weird down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this story. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.